What's going on, everybody? My name is Ben and welcome back to the bench for another episode of our Recon Cougar. This is episode number 7 and today I'm really hoping to go ahead and move forward with the photo nose. That's the main goal for today. Now the fuselage itself looks fine, don't really have any complaints. It could use a little work down here at the bottom right around the air brakes, but for what it is, it's not too bad. We do have to go ahead and tackle the wing installation, but I'm not really going to worry about that right now. I want to put this aside and we're going to move over to the photo nose. This is the last major part of the fuselage before we can go ahead and get everything put together. Now the photo nose itself has quite a bit of equipment that looks decent. It actually looks pretty similar to what I've seen in my reference photos, so that's at least a good thing. One problem I do notice though, like I mentioned in the last episode, is when we go ahead and insert this into the front of the photo nose, it doesn't quite line up. Right out of the box, it sits way too high. So we're going to have to go ahead and see if we can't lower that down almost to the ground level and then kind of readjust the front camera so it angles correctly and is as close as it can get to that front aperture. But moving forward, we're going to have to also go ahead and put together the rest of the nose. So what I'm going to do first is I want to go ahead and grab some Mr. Surfacer. We're going to jump into a time lapse and I'm basically going to go ahead and minimize all the gaps around the door. Then we can go ahead and assemble the front nose, leaving one of the doors off, and then we can reposition that front camera because as I mentioned before, it actually sits a little bit too back and too down. So we have to go ahead and move it forward and raise it up a little bit so that it actually points out the correct opening for that front facing camera. So without further ado guys, let's go ahead and jump into our first time lapse, get this thing rolling. Alright everybody, we are back and I think I'm going to go ahead and move forward with the door. Now my intention is to actually keep this door open so you can see all the little details on the inside. So what I'm going to have to do is go ahead and build some structure to the underside of the door. Now that means I have to create some bulkheads, I have to create some stringers, some raised detail of some sort. I have a few pictures on my references but not a whole lot. So this is kind of just flying by the seat of my pants. I'm not really too concerned about accuracy with this. It's the underside of the door. You're not really going to see it, and at this point nothing on this kit is exactly accurate anyway, so it doesn't much matter. So let's go ahead and jump into our second time lapse. We're going to push on with the door structure, get the detailed scratch built out of styrene, and let's just see what we can do. Alright everybody, we are back and we're going to go ahead and shift our attention over to the nose, and this is going to be wiring for the cameras. Now in the Photo Cougar nose we have a lot of cameras, 2 different cameras facing down and then we have 2 cameras facing sideways. So what we're going to go ahead and do is, using my references, we're going to go ahead and string up some solder wire to act as cabling. So I think that's going to be a really good move to make. I'm just going to have fun. I probably will end up putting more wires in that you will see, but that's okay. It's all about learning and this is actually going to be pretty fun. So let's go ahead and dive into another time lapse. I'm going to use some 0.3mm solder. We're going to drill some holes. We're going to go ahead and super glue these wires down, kind of drape them so they look a little bit more like they have purpose. And then we'll be back and we'll have to give this thing a nice coat of paint. So let's go ahead and push forward, keep on moving on. With all of our solder wire added onto the front nose camera equipment, I think it actually looks pretty cool. A lot of wire, a lot of action, a lot of interest. So I think this is going to be fine. Now let's go ahead and test fit it here into the nose, and yeah, it actually looks a lot better. It's still a little bit high, but I think it's going to be okay. So let's go ahead and check the other side as well. And the cameras do line up in the windows, so that is good. I went ahead and I lowered that front floor right below where it actually is supposed to attach to that bulkhead. So that actually was great because I could use some of the openings to string some cable through. And as you can see, there's a lot of cables draped all over the place. On the other side, you can see some of them. I tried to add in as much as I could, but of course you really can't see this side too well, so I kept it more or less minimal. The other side, this is the one that's going to be open, and that's the one I wanted the most action. So with the wires in there, I think it looks 100% better. Now as we go ahead and test fit that front photo nose onto the fuselage, you can see we will have a little bit of work to do to make sure that everything is nicely tapered in, but honestly, got a lot of action, a lot of detail. With that door open, gonna add a bit of realism to the model, and I think that'll be pretty cool. Now again, the wires weren't necessarily 100% based on actual photos. I had to kind of just extrapolate from what I saw, and you know what, I mean, maybe it's too many wires, I don't know, but I think it's busy enough for me. I like how it looks, so now we're gonna have to go ahead and start painting. So we're going to head over to the spray booth. I'm going to grab some Tamiya flat black, and we're going to go ahead and paint everything. So the internal nose, door, and of course the camera bay and the equipment. Let's do it, guys. We are almost done for the day. Alright everybody, we are done for the day. As you can see here, we have all of our parts, and I went ahead and airbrushed the front coping here as well, flat black. So that turned out okay. Now we have our nose. As you can see, we have pretty much everything inside flat black. We've got a mask on the outside and the inside as well, so I wouldn't go ahead and obscure that front photo opening. And we have all our photo equipment nicely painted as well. We just go ahead and test fit this, just get this lined up. Now, as you saw in the time lapse, I did have to go ahead and change up that front forward-facing camera. I had actually cut it off of the mount that I had glued it to, moved it forward to the other side of that mount, and then moved it up because I wanted it to go ahead and angle forward right in that opening so you can get a nice shot of the camera looking through that front lens. But I think we're good for the day, guys. I think we can let this cure. We've done a lot of scratch building here, a lot of wiring detail, and I think it looks pretty nice. So let's go ahead and call it quits for today. Episode 8 is up next week. And until then, you guys know the drill. Go out there, get yourself some bench time, have some fun, and build something cool. And we'll see you back here for another episode of the Recon Group Build and our Photo Cougar. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you soon.